On this week's episode of Friend Code, we're talking about some of the Nintendo Mini Direct announcements and the Super Mario 35th anniversary rumors. Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of Friend Code. I'm your host, Michael Damiani. This week, I'm joined by Daniel Budworth.
Hey.
Michael Huber.
Hello.
How's it going, the two of you? Holding up all right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to start real quick by acknowledging that I had a recording issue yesterday when we tried to originally record Friend Code. Bloodworth still joining us again. Ben, unfortunately, can't join us again. I just want to say that Ben and I had a really good Xenoblade discussion, and we also had a pretty good discussion about Bravely Default 2, and I feel horrible that we couldn't get that recording. Zoom just never finished. We finished the recording and it never closed out the file, I guess is the best thing I could figure out. But anyway, we lost the recording. We're doing a backup plan this time. We're recording in Zoom and in XSplit, so local recordings for both. So hopefully this works out this time. But Ben wanted me to acknowledge that we did have this conversation stuff, so we try to do it. But for those who are maybe a little bit disappointed and looking forward to the future, well, once Xenoblade comes out at the end of May, I think we confirmed that Ben and I will do like a deep dive into it, and others will join us as well. So you can look forward to that. So there'll still be a comprehensive Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition discussion. And on probably an upcoming Frame Chat, there will be Bravely Default 2 demo discussion as well. I'm still going to talk about Bravely Default 2 demo a little bit later, but just wanted to get that out of the way. So apologies for that if you're looking for Ben and stuff like that. My fault. My bad.
Yeah, impossible shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Because you all know I haven't played Xenoblade.
But you're a big Mario fan, and we have some Mario stuff to talk about later. But first, Huber, we got some Nintendo Mini Direct stuff to go over. So last week, Nintendo had a Mini Direct. This was right on the heels of an Indie World Showcase that happened. The Indie World Showcase was rumored to happen the week of GDC. And
I mean, for the Indie World Showcase, like even saying that's rumored is a little silly because it's been happening year after year for I don't even know how long.
It's been a staple.
A lot of us had already had invitations to that at GDC physically, like a month ahead of time. So it's like that was like the most obvious thing to predict as well. So I think that the half of the rumor where the mini direct happening this week, that's a little bit more.
Well, people thought it was a normal direct was happening this week, but that was the two-part thing. And the the Indie World Showcase seemed like a sure thing, but at the same time, maybe not, because everything that happened that led to GDC's cancellation. Who knows what plans were going to be changed and rearranged, but it did happen, which then gives some people some hope because it had been a while. There was like a countdown clock, like it was 200 plus days since last year's September Direct. That's when we had the last, big Direct update. Anyway, we had a mini Direct, bunch of announcements happened. I want to start with the unveiling of the Direct with both of you. So I have a patron question here from Anthony Stevens. Let me read this for you. Hi there. I have a question about the Nintendo Direct itself. How do you feel about the way Nintendo stealthily dropped the presentation without any advanced warning? How do you like how they handled this?
Shadow drop.
Yeah, I know. It was a shadow drop.
I think it's cool. I mean, this situation the world is in right now, we're in uncharted waters, uncharted territory. So I think given everything that's going on, whether you shadow drop it or hype it up ahead of time, however you're going to do it logistically, is just all up in the air, and I'm cool with however anyone wants to do presentations like that, just online and dropping them whenever.
For me, I think that the way they did it was actually really thoughtful and showed a lot of foresight, because calling it a mini direct, it's not short, it's 30 minutes almost. But it speaks to the kind of stuff that they're announcing, right? And I think that if they had come out and they said their normal thing, we're on Monday, there's going to be a direct this week, everyone's going to be expecting Breath of the Wild 2, They're going to be expecting some kind of Mario game, they're going to be expecting maybe an update on Metroid, or maybe, whatever else, right? And it's like, that's not the stuff that they had to show this time. And so I think it was really smart of them to just, here it is, and then like you don't get all that hype build up, because as soon as you say that something's coming, people's expectations just skyrocket that like within an hour. So it avoids that sense of letdown.
Blood.
You nailed the point there. I think Blood. That was absolutely, I think, their intention as well, putting that mini in there to keep expectations in check. In fact, there were some parts of the direct we'll get to later, the Super Smash Brothers Ultimate Fighter, and the teaser basically, which I think also was kind of in response to handling expectations a little bit better after the Byleth reveal last time for the final fighter as of the previous pass. So yeah, I totally agree with that. And I also think, to your point, Huber, I definitely think that with the situation going on with COVID-19, that things are just going to change. Companies are going to have to do things a little differently, and just be prepared to deal with this and like work with them on this. So I'm just glad it happened. I'm just really happy we got something in the middle of this, something that was super positive, something to help us look forward to, even if it wasn't all the big first party announcements we were looking for. It was something, and it was just good vibes to have, is the way you always put it, Huber.
Heck yeah, good vibes.
It's funny. I just noticed I can like shake my camera just by like moving my leg a little bit. I'm not even touching the desk. It's like it's just the floor.
Don't worry about that. I think we're in as I forgot to mention at the beginning, this is the first friend code being done in this new work from home format. So, bear with us. We'll work on trying to make more improvements and stuff. We're still working through some technical difficulties, but we just want to get you the usual stuff on the usual schedule as much as possible. Since, we're so fortunate to have, our work be online focused, so online heavy, that we can continue to do this even when doing this remotely. But yeah, the Nintendo Directs, when we have a Direct Indie World Showcase, I tend on Friend Code to like to do like a full rundown, especially with the Indie World Showcase, because it gives each game a bit of a spotlight on it. But I think just like what we did with the original recording, where we just focused on Xenoblade, this time I just want to focus on a few of the announcements here, just the ones I picked out, kind of catered to the panel we have right now. And the first one I want to start with, this is kind of geared towards you, Huber. So in the mini direct, they showed a new trailer for the final DLC content of the expansion pass for Marvel Ultimate Alliance, the Black Order DLC. It's called Shadow of Doom. Introduces the Fantastic Four characters as playable characters. There's actually a total of 6 characters, so it's the Fantastic Four, it's Doctor Doom, and it is Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet is the 6th and final playable character. And all the costumes and skins are being made available right away too.
Very cool.
So my question to you, Huber, is it came out March 26th, right after this. And Huber, you were the one who played this game. Some of the other allies played it too.
Barely played.
Yeah, it's like, do you have any interest in this or not? Like, and do you have any thoughts about why that might be? Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. This game really, I just didn't click with Ultimate Alliance 3. I love X-Men Legends and I love the previous Ultimate Alliance games, but there was just something about this one that didn't grab me. It just felt more focused on like leveling up and assembling your team rather than telling like a really cool story. Like the story was fine, but I just didn't feel any emotion. And the main focus of the game definitely was about just like leveling up, which is cool. But I think nowadays, because everything is like online, the original X-Men Legends games and Ultimate Alliances I played local co-op.
Yeah.
So I think maybe just the transition to like playing online, I didn't have anyone locally to play with.
Yeah.
It definitely hurt the vibes of that. But I know Jones and Bossman love that game. So I'm the outlier on that one.
Yeah, I know they had a good time playing it, and I'm very curious to know. I think we got some of their thoughts on a previous episode about the first DLC pack, but I did hear some like the criticisms I heard about the very first one, like the one with Moon Knight and Blade, like kind of like the horror group, one that predated came before X-Men one. The thing was they weren't all available right away. You had to do like those challenge tower things to unlock each character. and like it hit a certain floor, they would unlock. And I just remember people just not being happy with that format. I don't know if Shadow of Doom is going to do it that way, but it seems like maybe they misread what people liked about Ultimate Alliance 2 when making 3, and everything you kind of said, Hubert, kind of reinforces that notion to someone like me.
Well, the good news is, Damiani, is that I did hear that this expansion is more of a story-based, like epilogue type situation. So maybe because of certain criticisms for the original, maybe they took a look and they're like, all right, let's focus on the story more on this one. But I heard it actually is pretty satisfying in that sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, the trailer gave those vibes. It definitely seemed way more story heavy. It was like Doom coming, like trying to do, his stuff, the whole, like the classic Richards, like it was like good. So like Doom, Doom never loses. I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. Maybe for the send off, they got it right. And but it's kind of bittersweet in that it took them till the last DLC piece of content in the expansion pass to finally nail it. But maybe they take the lessons learned from this and look at, because it sold pretty well when it came out last year.
Solid game.
Yeah, and they supported it pretty decently through through March. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see them maybe try a fourth one and maybe take some of the feedback and make an improved Marvel Ultimate Alliance 4. So yeah, I think there's a future for it. I don't think any of the negative impressions of some people might have had, will influence whether or not there's a future for this series. Just don't take 10 years again, though.
Overall, the game just felt very small to me. It felt very confined and small, and just everything about it. I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't have that big grandiose, like, we're Marvel,
Do you mean like
Ultimate
its presence, like touting it, like the game, like maybe marketing or something?
Yeah, maybe, it's obviously in the shadow of the MCU right now.
Then, let me ask you this then, because it came out right at the tail end of MCU, with
maybe
Endgame.
It was just fatigue.
So fatigue could explain maybe then, and now we're just looking to the future. But do you also think maybe the unfairly or not, it just being a Switch exclusive? I mean, Switch is a popular console. It should be able to sell well. Do you think there's any history potentially with the series, that I think the obvious answer is yes. If it was multi-platform, maybe it would have done better and drawn more attention. But I don't think anything about it being a Switch exclusive hurt it or anything. There was no backlash, not like the Bayonetta situation back on Wii U. It seemed perfectly normal and a good get for the Switch and Nintendo. So
good fit, good get.
Yeah, I'd have to go. Yeah, I think you're right, Hubert. Maybe it is just the fatigue and stuff. Especially with look at the Square Enix's Avengers. That thing is just people are just like, oh dear, that
this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been it's been lukewarm reception to that. So maybe that's what it is, Hubert. But we'll see. Hopefully, there's a future. I think there's a future. But on to another one of the announcements in there. This one a little bit more for Bloodworth and a little bit for me since I've been playing a little bit of this game. They gave a small update for Animal Crossing New Horizons. They talked about their April updates. They're going to be doing a Bunny Day event featuring Zipper Bunny. Find hidden eggs around the island that they've hidden, and then you can craft limited event items based on that. It's running right now, April 1st through the 12th. They also talked about
love Easter egg hunts.
Yeah,
they're everywhere.
They have a free update coming later this in April as well, which is going to include new features that haven't been activated yet, as well as an Earth Day event. So I kind of want to. I think the answer is obvious here, but Blood, I got to ask, are you kind of happy that they're going to doing these seasonal events? Do you like these seasonal events? Are they compelling enough that they bring you back to the game besides the main draw? And do you think it's a kind of a smart thing to do to keep doing these things where if you miss out, you missed, you potentially might not get to participate in something like this, a limited time event?
Sure. Well, I think first of all, it should be clear, especially if people that are new to Animal Crossing or whatever, this has been Animal Crossing from the start.
Yeah.
They've always had these types of seasonal events. The biggest differences now is that in order to, I think, partly keep people from just time traveling and gaming the system, they've made these events online updates rather than stuff that is in the game and you just change your clock and you can see it. And so so they basically they've used the DLC to kind of limit people from spoiling the fun for other people.
I like this. I mean, I'm very happy they did this. I mean, you can time travel for other stuff if you really want to, like you bought the game, but like seasonal event updates like this, I'm glad they now are embracing the online part of this and just making them downloadable updates.
Yeah. And then the other thing that's different about how they work now is that it used to be for like the costumes and the furniture items and stuff, you would find the NPC, like the zipper bunny, right? You would find them, you would talk to them, and you would get like one item per day, and you'd have to just like keep checking in every day of the event and hope that like you could make a full set, you know, that you didn't get duplicates or anything like that. And now what they're doing with the Easter eggs and the crafting system is you find these Easter eggs all over the place, and those are act as crafting materials.
Gotcha.
And you also find recipes for the furniture. And so I've already crafted like 5 or 6 different.
Oh, so you've already been doing this today or something? Oh, okay,
awesome. Unlocked this morning.
Nice.
So it works. You know, I think in a lot of ways it works a lot better, so that you can do it a little bit more at your pace, and you don't have to feel like you have to check in every day for 2 weeks while this event's going on in order to, you know, kind of complete that collection if that's something you're wanting to do. Because there is an extra reward if you get everything in the set and then you talk to Zipper Bunny one more time.
Is this something, I'm kind of curious, you might not know the answer, Blood, but I am curious to find it out at some point. Even though this is like, it's live now. Let's say like I don't participate in this event and the 12th rolls around and it's over. Mm-hmm. If I go visit other people and like I pick up their item, you know, like the thing we just have to see an item, so I can still get this stuff technically. If people have extras, like extra materials that were only found in the event, I can still do that, like craft this stuff later, right? Potentially, or are the recipes kind of like locked out if you have to?
I don't know 100%. I think you can probably share recipes, but I don't know 100% because sometimes you will. I did get like an extra recipe card for one of them, and so I think you could probably put that down and somebody could pick it up.
But even if someone has it, they can just make me one and give me one.
Right.
One of the items. Okay, yeah. So like that's the difference, I think, from some other things.
But the materials will run out at a certain point.
Yeah, there's like it's fine.
Right now the game is loaded with them. Like there's balloons floating by like every other minute. So like,
because that's the thing with Animal Crossing is that like if you wait enough time, like you don't have to deal with the issue of scarcity. I mean, visiting other people is how you get around that in the interim, but this type of limited event, there is a finite amount of resources. I do like that there will only be so many of these things floating around, which is kind of cool. Yeah, that's pretty nice. The Earth Day event is the one coming up. I didn't see anything other.
Yeah, there's like a sloth character. I think they might have had it for New Leaf or maybe even before that. I don't think I've really experienced that one before. That's one thing that's interesting about Animal Crossing release dates is it shifts your perception of what you get to see based on the time of the year the game comes out. So I think the last game came out in like September or something.
Yeah.
And so this time around, it's like it came out mid-March, end of March. And so we got to see a little bit of the tail end of winter in a way, not with snow, but just like kind of just like a default, like everything just being normal and green. And now that April 1st has hit, all of the hardwood trees have grown, like turned pink, and there's cherry blossoms floating in the wind. And there's new bugs and fish and stuff that are populating now on the 1st.
Sorry for fact check. Were you talking about a Miwa Festival or New Leaf? For like when you said like, do you think the last game came out in September or whatever?
New Leaf.
Oh, okay, just double checking. Yeah, it says the New Leaf came out in June. Here.
Oh, June. Okay.
But November in Japan, so I don't know if you're going off that. But it was a summer release. But yeah, but your point, yeah, like I get what you meant. There was something.
You guys,
sorry, what's up, Heber?
Just to jump in here, this is in Animal Crossing in the year 2020 with social media and the internet. Has that enhanced or hindered your enjoyment with Animal Crossing? Because in the originals, you would just you'd have all the time in the world, no noise on the outside, no people saying, look what I got, look what I got.
Oh, so
you just kind of...
There's a lot of that with DS and 3DS, actually.
I'm just thinking of because I've really only played the GameCube one.
For Huber, so my experience with this, I'm playing it at a very slow pace.
Nice.
Like to let full transparency, the first 3 houses you have to build for your first 3 new guests, I haven't even finished that yet. That's how far back I am.
Nice.
But I mean, I just like walking around. But anyway, I see on social media, I see on Twitter, tons of people tweeting out stuff. Like early on, it was like blather stuff. Now it's like turnip prices and all. Like now I did think I saw some of the Easter stuff.
To me, that seems so fun.
Yeah,
the turnip prices. I never gotten the turnip thing until the 3DS game, and it was because I was in a Facebook group of people, and it was a lot of pre-R people and their families and all of this stuff. I think I ended up getting in there because I was reviewing the game, and so it was like that was the only place I could play with people at first. But kept playing with them for months, and yeah, like with the turnips, like on your own, you'd have to go back to the shop and check every morning and every night to see what the prices are, and sometimes you just wouldn't get good prices. But now with other people, other friends and stuff, like Ian and Brandon and I are all sharing prices. And then there was some guy in chat last night who was like, hey, they're buying them for like $550 in my town. And like Ian and I were like, all right, we're coming over. He just set up a dodo code. We didn't have to be friends, and so and we went over there and we made profit.
I love that.
It kind of feels good because someone like me who's going at a slow pace, I see what lies ahead and potentially look forward to. But if you were alluding to maybe like FOMO, Huber, like there's some I can see how some people feel that. Like it's at the back of my mind, but like it doesn't bug me as much because I'm not as invested in the Animal Crossing series as some other people. But I can definitely see people who are like seeing these other people do stuff. They're like, oh no, I gotta go back in there and like try and do this right now or see this or whatever. Like I think it's definitely a layer that's more apparent than ever. I mean, it's been there before.
I had a little bit of it last night because it was the 31st, and Kristen kept talking about this stringfish. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I hadn't. What is the deal? I usually get the guide, and this time I haven't gotten the guide yet, and you still need to order it. But
the guide,
yeah, because it tells you like when everything's available, and it makes it a little easier, and you like check things off. Less needed now. They've done a lot of that in game, but I think there's still certain things that it can help with. But anyways, last night was the last time that you could catch a stringfish until December. And so, but it's a really rare appearance. So it's like just trying to like farm for clams, make fish bait, and then like go up to this one spot that it spawns in and like throw fish bait out and hope for stringfish. And I did that for a while last night, and like it didn't happen. It's like, all right, well, I'll get it later.
Fishing RNG, every game I've ever played with fishing, like getting like rare fish, that is it. That is the experience.
I did get a different rare fish.
Sitting around and like missing your windows and stuff. Oh, I'm very familiar with that, but that's a good story. But yeah, I mean that's always going to be there, I think, in this game, and I think that's like what it needs, I think, to keep people coming back. Like this 1-2 combo of like downloadable updates that are part of the seasonal events, plus people tweeting out when they happen. Like these are things you can get and stuff. So it kind of like reinforces the notion that people need to go in and get in on that before it's too late. So good. I mean, it's a small update. It's nice. I expect like almost monthly kind of small updates about what's coming in the following month. If there's like any kind of planned event or something like that going forward, for sure. But next up, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate got a tease for Fighter Pass Volume 2. I was really shocked it was in here because going through this, I got the vibe after Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I thought this was gonna be a big direct. I was like, that mini's misleading. No, this is the one. And then a few announcements, and I'm like, this is not the one. This is a mini direct. But then when they dropped Smash Bros, I was like, oh, okay, maybe they're saving everything for the back half here. Here comes the big stuff. And it was just a tease, but I like what they did here. So they announced that the next fighter, the first fighter in Fighter Pass Volume 2, will be from ARMS. There's only one game. It's not ARMS Series. From the game ARMS. That fighter will be officially revealed in June and released in June. So the reason I think this is a good move is because I think it's in reaction to what happened with Byleth, and that Byleth was revealed last after a string of 4 in a row big third-party reveals. Third-party characters being added, and then the first party happened last. And so expectations were through the roof for a 5th and final third-party character. And after that happened, I think people just started to like assume, like they were like, oh, it's gonna be Dante or something. Like it'll just be the first one, this next one. Don't worry. Like they just need a little bit more time. And I think Nintendo's like, after what happened with Byleth, and people now assuming, oh, they only did Byleth because they needed more time for another third-party character. They're like, actually, no. Let's get ahead of this. Let's say this now. We won't say who it is, but here's where it's from. And I think it's a great thing to do. The only backfire I can see is that now everyone's like, I can see some fans expecting they're always going to tease now, but when they don't tease, like, if it's something obvious or from a first party that's not a big deal, they're going to tease it so we don't get our expectations out of check. Our expectations will get out of control. But if they don't say anything, that means it's a big one. That's the one that's going to be Dante. And you see how this is going to go now, right? So,
sure.
I mean, Nintendo can only do so much, but I mean, in the interim, I like what they did here with this. However, I do want to ask, they said it's from ARMS. Who do you think it is? And do you have somebody who do you think it actually is going to be? And who would you want it to be if those are two different answers?
I forget all of the names, but I think just the main dude on the cover.
Yeah. I think it could even be a combo. Like it could be
like the colors
Spring
are
Man
different.
and Ribbon Girl, like for the different color swaps.
Totally.
That's a very likely one, yeah.
I just don't expect them to go like the other characters are all just like sort of like themed, like super specific
the mummy
things.
Dude, yeah.
I mean, I saw calls for one specific character.
I've heard people talking about Min Min.
I mean, Min Min's up there, but I think there's one that sits above all of them. That's a fan favorite that I think people really want.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Twintel.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of broken hearts if Twintel is not the character. But, I mean, either way, it's great that they're getting ARMS representation there. This has been something
cool.
When the first Fighter Pass was announced, I think people were just assuming there was going to be an ARMS fighter. It just made so much sense, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And it was assist stuff, and they're like, okay, but now this could be the first case.
But I feel like in a way, like the moment is past. Like, I don't know.
It is a little on the late
end. I guess there's like a hardcore audience there for sure, but I feel like most people are sort of over ARMS and like.
Unless
there's this thing
future
Nintendo
plans. Yep. Unless they got some future plans for it or something. But to that regard, though,
man, it's time. Yeah, 2021.
And Huber, regardless of a sequel, Huber, the one thing they did add, after this announcement, they did talk about ARMS. Actually, they give an update for the game. It's not new content, but actually for Nintendo Online subscribers, the game is completely free from March 26th until April 6th. So you can just go download and play the game for free right now if you pay an online subscription. And I think that's a smart move because they got, hey, remember ARMS and stuff? Yeah. Oh, you want to go dive back into this game? I think the fact that they're doing this speaks to I think there's a future for the series. Mm-hmm. I even think ARMS 2 will be more ambitious than the first one. I think ARMS 1's going to be looked back as like, this was the springboard. This kind of like they were testing things. And ARMS 2 is going to be like the one that's the standard for the series. At least that's what I'm hoping. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
I always enjoy when fighting games cross over into other fighting games too. So just a really good match all around. So excited for this.
I hope whoever it is, their final smash is if you're playing in like with the two not Wii remotes, holy crap, the two Joy-Cons, you can do like the motion controls for the final smash or something like that. It just like waggle really fast.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
In terms of the strategy of what they're doing, though, I feel like I have to reserve my judgment until I see the whole picture, the whole 6-character lineup, because I think that sort of the issue they ended up with Byleth is it felt kind of like a dud at the end. It felt like the last one wasn't as exciting as some of the others. So I'm hoping that this time around, because they said that they've got them all picked, right? I'm hoping that this time around, they are going for the one that's going to have the least expectations first, and they're going to try to build and like really end. Like this is the last one. It's got to be super good.
Yeah, That's my hope too, Budworth. I mean, I'll wait with you once I see the full picture of how they did this release schedule. I'll be able to speak better about how I thought their planning went. But I mean, yeah, my hope is that they build up to the biggest one, and they could. There's a whole bunch of ways they could do that. I mean, they can if they have 3 first party, 3 third party, alternate, which would now end on the third party, which could be the most exciting. Or they'll have like 2 first party, maybe get those out of the way first, so like the last 4 aren't by. Maybe they don't know which one's going to be the most exciting, but at least if the last 4 are the third party ones, you got the ones that people are more expecting went down essentially. I'm just gonna say I still expect something from Pokemon, like Sword and Shield or something, to end up in there as like a first party, another first party thing. I think it's gonna be 3 and 3, honestly, but who knows? Maybe they'll do 2 and 4.
Do like a Galar trainer or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Especially that's got the expansion pass, which was also mentioned in this direct coming out in June and stuff. We're not really going to talk too much about it. I'd rather wait till we actually get to play it before we want to talk about it. It's just like they gave some details and stuff. But yeah, that's coming up too. So
Nook playable. So do you think Animal Crossing could reveal itself back into Smash? I know they've already got some Animal Crossing in there, but seems like a pretty good time to capitalize on that. Cross hype there?
I think Isabelle was like the biggest thing they did. I don't know if they can get bigger than that. So they already have Villager and Isabelle, and it's like that's kind of like, I mean, they have the nice stages and stuff that like are really cool themes that really I think have a lot of Easter eggs in there and nods to the main games. But yeah, I that's one I don't see taking up one of the slots, honestly. I think it's Pokemon or potentially like Zelda, like Breath of Wild 2 stuff, or like something from that we haven't seen yet would be kind of a big deal for a first party. Especially they built that was the last first party reveal was like a new Zelda character that was exciting or something, or just a new exciting first party character would be much better. The last thing I want to talk about before we get to just quickly talk about Xenoblade Chronicles is Bravely Default 2. There was new info in the mini direct. There was a new trailer, but on top of all that, they released a demo. They put out a demo, and it has had some polarizing opinions about it. We do have a patron question from Kerbu, who wants to know our thoughts. Originally, as I said, Ben and I tried to talk about this. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of like why I think this is happening. So they basically ask, say, has anybody been able to check out the Bravely Default 2 demo? It's infuriatingly difficult. Grinding is necessary to survive a number of encounters, and the nebulous turn order typically results in enemies defaulting and braving. That's a new mechanic in the for attacking and defending and stuff before you even have a chance to act. So they basically get to do stuff before you can even do anything. The first game is renowned for how accessible it is, whereas this demo is frightening. What were they trying to do with it, you reckon? So I played through the demo. So I can say, essentially the demo gives you a warning, Huber, and Blood. On the title screen, when you download and start playing, when you begin, it gives you a warning saying, this has been tuned to be much harder than it intends to be. So Bloodworth originally had a good theory. Maybe that like the demo type, I think it was you, Blood, that the demo, putting demo in front of it or on tacking it on, insinuates this is meant to be like an easygoing experience, like a nice slice of life of this game, a sampling. You don't want to scare people away with like a huge difficulty curve. That's not the case here. You start off in a desert town. You get your main quest. You can maybe go get some side quests.
How's the town?
I like what they're doing with the visuals. So here's my only complaint about presentation. You can zoom in and out just to like 2 different settings. There's no like gradual zoom in or out. When you're zoomed out, I can't see. It's meant to figure out where things are. That's great. But even at the most zoomed in, it's hard to see some stuff. It's really tiny. So I wish there was a third option to zoom in just a little bit more. Like the combat, how they present combat is perfect. Like it's the perfect camera angle and zoom in for effect. Zoom in for that. In regards, so yes, I think early on the game is trying to teach you that this job system is very important. The brave and default mechanic. So brave is a currency. You have BP, Huber. the more BP you start at 0. You can accrue up to 3, or you can go into debt. Brave lets you execute up to 4 actions in one turn. So
sounds kind of similar to the first one.
Yeah,
right?
so if you start at 0 and you spam it to max it out, you can do 4 attacks, but now you're 3 in debt. Like you've gone to -3. In each turn, you can accrue it, but you can't act again until you're out of debt. But if you default 3 times, you build up a stockpile. You can unleash everything, and you don't have to worry about being on cooldown. Basically, that's like the core of that system. So I think the reason they want you to grind in the beginning is to get a little bit like learn how to do the battle system. You got to understand how it works, but also the job system. Like you have a job and sub job, and the abilities you unlock by leveling them up. You have a currency you can spend that, like if you get like white mage, you get like, or black mage has like reduced MP currency as one of them. So if you unlock that, you can like apply it and stuff like that. Or sorry, white mage has that. Others have different like crit attacks, like crits more likely to happen, stuff like that, Huber. So
I love this.
You level up to a certain, like each job's capped at 7. Once you hit like a certain level, you unlock a new ability, and then you can mix and match those abilities while also being a job and another sub job. So you can get, but honestly, you can get really OP. You can get really OP in this game.
But the only way to really dive into these systems is to have the difficulty tuned higher. So that's clearly what they were going for, right? So
here's the thing.
Dive into this.
The overall map, like, there's not a lot. Like, the first area has a lot of enemies, but the town's right there. So, like, you can always just go back to the town. They're very generous with the economy in the demo. Like, I never had a problem. I was able to buy all the gear I needed to buy. If I need to go rest in the inn, I was able to rest in the inn. It's just like, go do one battle. You have enough to go rest and come back. Like, you're always going to gain in this. I think the problem was, Huber, the main objective you have is talk to someone in town, get your quest, go on the overall map, find a ruin, a dungeon. It's these desert ruins. Traverse the ruins and fight a boss. If you go to the ruins too early, you will get obliterated, destroyed, Huber. And I think people are doing
Dragon
that,
Quest 8 style.
or they're wandering too far on the map into harder areas and fighting like much more powerful enemies that will destroy you. I tried going to the dungeon first, and I did get like just obliterated. So I backed up. I backed out. I leveled up.
Raise
I
a few levels, baby.
And once I had some gear, had some of these attributes, like I spent 3.5 hours with this demo, Huber.
This is awesome.
And when I went in there, I felt good. I knew what I was doing. I felt like I was like, this is good. For me, this is good. And for people who think like you can get too OP and abuse the system, they have 2 hidden bosses in here, Huber.
That's really fun.
And one of them's a quote unquote super boss. Like it's ridiculously like hard, but like
getting OP in a JRPG though, Damiani, is earned.
Yeah.
You're not entering a cheat code. You know, if you're OP in a JRPG, like you made that happen.
And it's not just strict power living, dude. I'm talking about like people have figured out like combinations of stuff to use on certain enemies that like make you really good. Like you'll just like someone actually did a no damage run of the super boss because they found an ability that steals their BP so they can never go. So they just keep doing that while they're buffing themselves, and then they poison it. They poison it, and then they put a fire vulnerability up on it, and they obliterate it with the strongest fire spells. And then like they do it once, and then while they're chipping away, making sure it can't go, it's being poisoned and stuff. Sorry if I spoiled the strat for this, but like I didn't tell you where this hidden boss is, so you're still gonna find it. Didn't spoil that. Sorry.
Memorize everything you just said.
Yeah, but like I love this. Like I actually had a good time. Like I was feeling a little bit miserable at first. But as soon as I forced myself to like readjust my expectations and play within what I think the demo is trying to do, I had a much better time with it.
That's
so
awesome.
I found myself addicted to the demo. So I just wanted to say that. I'll have a much deeper conversation about like the intricacies of certain other things and systems and stuff with Ben at some point. But I will admit it's hard. It is hard. It's meant to be a punch in the face. Like it's a hard punch in the face at first. You get punched in the face, but you gotta just like get back up and
I wonder if the curve will be better in the main game, because I really want to shout out to Dragon Quest 11 the way they handled that with the draconian modifiers. When I went through Dragon Quest 11,
they added those in though, didn't they?
No, that was in the original game.
Yeah,
okay, I thought you only picked one or the other.
No, so you could choose how many you wanted to activate out of those. So I just put on tougher monsters.
Gotcha.
And it's like the best decision I ever made in my life, because every time I hear about Dragon Quest 11 without it, it's like, oh, you just steamroll through the game. It's no problem. You don't even have to engage with the combat system. And because I turned on those tougher monsters, it forced me to think about every single move and turn order and leveling people up and when to buy weapons and armor. Like, it just makes the entire game more meaningful, and like you have to engage with it. But on the other hand, like, I get that it is more of a grind. So if you're not really into that and you just want to go through easy breezy on the story, that's cool too. So I'm wondering if maybe they could do like a middle ground, like maybe a hard mode or some kind of modifiers, because I just love the way they did it with Dragon Quest.
They might, Huber. Everything you said, like, I completely agree. I think that the difficulty is finding the sweet spot for every person, because I think there's that sweet spot where it's like enough give and push that like you feel you're getting a satisfying experience and you feel like things are rewarding enough. It's just like whether you can ramp it up enough to appease like smaller percentage of players who want something challenging. But Huber, this is just a demo. They said they tuned it harder because they wanted to see what they could get, like how far they could push the limits of some things in the system. But I think they're also going to be planning to do a survey at some point. So they're definitely looking for feedback to tune this. I would say, like, this is not indicative of how the final thing is going to be. And I expect them to take the lessons learned and apply them, especially after the first game was like champion for being accessible. I only see this as a positive. So just wanted to say that about the Bravely Default 2 demo, and to look forward to more discussion, most likely on Frame Chap in the near future. And finally, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I know without Ben here to like sing the praises of this, like I've sung my praises of this back at Game Trailers. I already fought this fight with reviewing this game originally and like telling everyone they need to pay attention to it. Ben through his playthrough of it and falling in love with it as well. Now like a huge champion of this game. I'm just really happy that Nintendo led off with this. It felt like their marquee announcement of the mini direct. This is another the best opportunity in my opinion to play this game if you missed out. Coming with future connected standalone extra story that's like another adventure with Shulk that potentially is going to connect things to a larger shared universe, potentially Xenoblade Chronicles 2, if you're into that kind of thing. Just everything I saw in the trailer. The visuals look good. Love the new character models. Obviously their faces. I love how they clean up the interface, the menus, showing off some slightly new things like glamoring, being able to wear different gear, like putting nicer gear on like an uglier thing, even though it's a better piece. Like that type of stuff I love. New indicators on the battle system to help clarify when certain buffs or debuffs are active and stuff like that. It's just, I mean, it really is, in my view, like shaping up to be a definitive edition. I'm very happy. And I know Huber, you've not played this, but like it is our mission at some point to get you to try this game out, man, for sure.
Listen, Three Houses, yep.
Yeah.
And Bloodworth, man, you love this game too, right?
Yeah. Like you said, like it's a bummer we lost that conversation because it was so good. But
yeah, I know the three. You're talking about this.
Yeah, I'm sorry, audience.
But as you know, you're saying like one of the things I realized yesterday is like, man, that there has not been a good opportunity for people to play this game because the first game came out late on the Wii's life cycle, particularly because of how long it took people to convince Nintendo to localize it. When they finally did localize it, it was very limited release. You had either buy it directly from Nintendo or from GameStop, like online. Then it came out again on 3DS, but it was only on new 3DS. Did it ever get like a digital Wii U release?
It got a Wii U release in 2017.
But that's the Wii U.
2016. Sorry, 2016. It was before Switch came out. 2016.
Sure.
Came out in 2016.
But that's Wii U.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody had that.
I know, but like it's almost. I just want to point out the dissent in that. Like I still think it's like this is necessary, needs to happen. But it's also the same thing like Link's Awakening. Like it's hard to find stuff. I'm like, if you have a 3DS, it's available for like what $5 on your 3DS. Like that's not hard. Technically hard to get. It's just going to cost you a little bit of.
Right, but Xenoblade, you had to have a new 3DS.
So it's like if you don't have the system, I get it. I completely understand that. But like they almost make it sound like it's like not available at all, which is like not quite. But anyway, yes, Blood, you're absolutely right about this. bringing it out again because like it was such a limited release originally, and I think just a lot of people missed it. Like I think people were like, "Oh yeah, that's a good game." I saw some people playing it, but looks. This is a massive RPG. What people saying 100+ hours? I'm busy playing something else. You know that always happens a lot, especially the game that's newer. And I don't know if everyone necessarily realized the association, the history of this game. The Monolith Soft, their history, their ties to Xenosaga and Xenogears back in the day. This game is not like, it's weird how they treat this because they're increasingly more nods to those older games, but whether or not, yeah, it's weird how they're handling and stuff, but like there's a pedigree here, and Monolith Soft has even gone beyond like Xenoblade Chronicles and in X as well, and 2. Like the legwork, the amount of like work they put into like Breath of the Wild, putting into its sequel, they've proven themselves very capable. So for me on a personal level, this is like, I just wish people would like, this is I think the game that, for at least in the eyes of Nintendo, put them on the map for Nintendo fans. And I just want a way for people to play it and hopefully appreciate it. If you play it, you don't like it, that's fine. It is not for everybody. There are things about this game that are not perfect. Yeah.
One of the things we were talking about too, though, is that it's a little bit of an oddball, in that it falls into a little bit of that RPG trap, in that you really have this moment of like trying to tell people like, well, you might have to get past the first 10 hours or so.
Exactly.
Because there's so much density to the opening of the game, so that you can get lost doing a lot of stuff, like learning the whole like relationship system and doing side quests for people, and like really like getting to know that town and that opening area, and maybe even getting burnt out a little bit on that space before you even get out into the wider open world and you get to see the scope of this game. And some of that can vary just depending on your play style and how deep you go, but it is there. But one of the strengths of the game is that so many times going through that journey, I would feel like, okay, I get what's going on with the story. Okay, I get what's going on with the combat. But then something would happen in the story that would totally shift my expectations, or I would come across a new character and making them as the party leader and learning how their skills work, this introduces a whole different set of strategies. Like, okay, like now I'm like totally engaged all over again. And so that kind of thing happens repeatedly throughout the game. And so you just think like, oh, now it's really getting good. And then you kind of get into another area like, okay, I'm used to this. And then, oh, now it's really getting good again.
Yeah.
And just like the amount of scale that they put onto a Wii game is nuts. And just the fun of jumping off of high places and seeing how long it takes to fall, things like that. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's well put, Blood. Like Huber, this game, we had a bunch of patron questions about this, but I mean, I want to keep this a little bit shorter now since we still got to talk about one other thing coming up. But like Huber, don't let it scare you. The premise of like, not everything in this game system wise is revealed to like several hours in, like maybe like 10 hours. The argument I would like to make to you is that what Blood said is absolutely true. The like story is going to keep you gripped, but what is available at each time is also very good. When something else is added on, it feels good. It feels like you're ready for it. And I would argue that like dumping the stuff any sooner would have overwhelmed the player. I think it is paced in such a way that like it's a shock statement. You don't get to see everything till 10 hours in. Oh, I'm out of here. But it's like reworking that sense is like the game does like wonderfully introduces new elements over the course of 10 hours, and each step of the process is so like engrossing and captivating that it doesn't feel like it takes that long to get there, and that you're deprived of anything before you get to that moment. But like, yeah, the sense of exploration and freedom you have, like Huber, just like seeing something, can I jump off this? Can I fall all the way down here? What's going to happen? Just seeing what can happen in that initial area is like part of the pure joy you get from this. And
sounds like Breath of the Wild, dude.
Yeah, it's a little bit, not to the extreme, but like it was that same kind of sense of wonder you got. And this game, like each environment, like a lot of the new environments just keep impressing.
Yeah, dude.
It's just like
I'm just remembering
it's
some places when
impressive.
you get to like the second half of the game,
Yeah.
some of those areas, like what, like it's so different than what you've seen already.
Yeah, like the music, having both day and night versions of the themes.
Mhm.
One of the earlier games to do something that where there's two versions of music in each area. Wasn't the first to do it, but like it just did it to such an extent and did them so well that stands out for me.
Good music
Yeah.
throughout.
Oh, absolutely.
Ooh, yes,
Like
very
legendary Bloodworth, top tier.
good. I mean, I would argue
Yeah.
it is. It's up.
Shit.
It's
Cool.
pretty good, but you know, some people
Gotta
disagree.
have the best music if I'm committing to a 100-hour game, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's gotta
You
be
get some
epic.
of the best Huber. There's one thing I hope they do because they did it in 2. If we're talking about like new features and stuff like that, I would definitely love to see being able to tone down the battle cry frequency.
Sure.
I know it's a meme. It led to some good memes in 2 as well, but after a few hours, it's just like I don't need to hear Rhyme time. It's Rhyme time. It's okay, Rhyme. It's over.
It
It's
is
not
definitely-
something I like, but it's something I grew accustomed to because it's sort of, in a weird way, helped you manage the amount of stuff happening with your party members attacking. And so it's like, if you heard a certain call out, you knew they were doing a certain move, and then you could combo off of that.
Yeah, I'm hoping there's like maybe new visual indicators or something because we saw a hint of that in some of the battle footage. But Huber, the last thing I want to make a point about why I think this game does itself a lot of favors in terms of like trying out things. It wants you to fail. It wants you to jump off. It wants you to like. We didn't cover this in this part of the like. We originally talked about this before in the Lost recording, and I want to bring it up again because I think it was Blood's point. Maybe it was Ben, but you're running around these early level zones. There'll be massive giant beasts that are like 90 levels higher than you. So like there's this like it's not always safe to just explore and stuff like that. But like you're gonna get chased down and die to a bunch of things in this game. The best thing this game does to encourage you to keep up with that, keep trying, keep exploring is that the penalty for death is like you just go to a nearby like checkpoint. Like it has very generous checkpoints. It doesn't fall into that trope of JRPGs where I forgot to save 30 minutes ago, go back. And once you earn waymarks, you can backtrack and teleport to that spot at any point. So you got to make the effort. You got to do the effort to unlock it. But then like they're very generous with where you can like quick warp to and stuff like that. So it makes it so painless. Like you can, like we didn't really talk about like the density of like side quests can get a little overwhelming, especially when one of them involve like NPC. It's more Huber. This has Majora's Mask stuff in it. NPCs move around in real time in like their areas and stuff, and they're only available at certain hours of days. You have complete control of time in this game. You can set the clock to whatever time. So once you figure out when they're going to show up somewhere to like deliver a quest item or something, you can just do that instantly, and it like just like quickly loads the reloads the area at the new time. So they tried to streamline as much to take the burden off of that. It's not flawless, but I think it did itself a lot of favors initially.
Yeah, I am curious what they've done in terms of the side quest streamlining, because that is my biggest gripe, is that some of those side quests, like, you'd want to do them because you'd want to raise those relationship bonds, because they would lead to, Hubert, they'll lead to like extra conversations, these side conversations.
Bonds.
Yep,
Yeah.
waiting for you to say it, Hubert. It's like,
and so you want to do them, but sometimes some of them just wouldn't be that interesting, or there would be like a huge grind to where it's like you'd have to go out to a certain area and you'd have to like pick up these random drops, and you'd have to just like hope to get this specific item like 5 times, and all you would see would just be like this little glowing orb, right? And so like you pick it up, oh, that's not it, pick it up, that's not it, and you just have to keep like essentially walking around the same zone, you know, 5 or 6 times until you got enough of the orbs for the quest. And there are even some zones that like you can't go back to later, so you have to do that quest before a certain point in the game. So I just hope that some of that stuff gets to be a little bit less tedious.
For sure. I mean, yeah.
Damiani, do you like Shulk?
I like Shulk.
Okay. He always seemed like a
I like him. I like Shulk more than
to me.
Rex. I was the biggest fan of
sure.
Rex. The Xenoblade Chronicles
that's-
2 cast, it's like Nia
Yes.
and what's his face? I'm forgetting already.
Like I want a good story, but for a 100-hour game, like the most important thing by far up here, everything else is down here is characters. Just straight up.
Okay, so Huber, the best thing this game does, like I do think the characters will grow on you But the best thing this game does is everyone's caught in this like mystery. Like, what the heck is this world?
That's
Like,
fun.
what is this? Like, the first
Cool
half of the
premise.
game is like you're exploring your part of the world. Like, you're on these living robot things, these giant creatures things.
Yeah.
I don't think they're robots, they're living creatures, and you're exploring your side, Bionis. But you're wondering what, like, all the enemies, all the mechs always come from this other one called Mechonis, and you're like, you expect you're gonna go there, and you just want to know what the heck's going over there and stuff, and like you're building
That's
up
a
to
good
that,
premise.
and
I like it.
you get
That's a
some
good
hints
film.
about how the world works. It's like, how does this world work? What's
Mhm.
going on here? What's going on over there? And like they slowly pull back, the curtains on
Of
this
course.
at good intervals. We've both already talked about it, and I think those things are like captivating. It's like, oh, we just learned this about the world. Okay.
Yeah,
And
well,
I got
that's part of the
more.
scale
Cool,
too,
very
because
cool.
it's like the bridge between them, Huber, is literally like the swords that are lodged into each one.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah,
It's
and
like
so
the
like that's
intro,
how you have to
yeah.
cross over. And it's also there's just all these cool viewpoints where you get these vistas where you can like you look out and you see the Mechonis and you like see like the glowing light in its eyes or whatever, and it's like really creepy, but it's like that like over there's just as much terrain and stuff to do, so it's pretty cool. The way the world is presented is really cool, and especially because even just like those moments to get a perspective of like, okay, I'm on the arm and now I can see the leg or whatever, like, or being on top of the head and looking around and like, okay, I kind of get a sense of like where I actually am on this thing.
Yeah, Hubert, like, I know you have a thing about like you will always finish a game when you start it, pretty much. And excuse me. So Hubert, I know you have a thing about like always when you start a game you want to finish it, but I think after like 20 hours of this game, even if you decide not to finish this game, I still feel very confident you're going to walk away with at least a good opinion of this game. You might
What's
have
the date? When is it?
March, no, wish, May 29th, sorry, 2020, coming to Switch.
Nice.
And also includes Future Connected standalone, which you can just jump into right away.
Yeah, that's the best part for me, because I did not want to play through the whole thing again, as good as it is. But now I can like kind of do one save file, get a little bit of a look around, and then
very cool, Blood. That's
go
awesome.
into the new chapter.
It's very cool.
Nice.
So look forward.
I know.
To that.
I don't want another Fire Emblem Three Houses situation. I want to play this thing.
It's going to be easily available for a while, Huber. You don't have to rush and play it right away. I'm saying at some point they just made
I feel like if I don't do it immediately, I'm not going to do it. Launched.
We'll keep on you, man.
Yeah.
But like
Last of Us is the same day, but
yeah. You forgot.
So you might have to finish Last of Us.
Maybe later, Huber. But like this whole situation just makes it way easier than having to go back and play a 10-year-old Wii game.
Definitely remastered.
Sure. I want to move on, and we're going to talk about some speculative stuff, some rumors about the Mario Brothers series. So there have been some rumors this week about a Super Mario 35th anniversary going down later this year. And let me just recap the reporting. I just want to make sure we give credit to the sources who broke these stories, and you get the timeline of this, so you can see how many people are doubling down on this situation. So started off, a report from the UK-based website Video Games Chronicle said they were told by multiple sources that Nintendo plans to hold an event to coincide with the 35th anniversary of the Super Mario Brothers series. And at this event, Nintendo would reveal their plans to re-release most of the classic Super Mario Brothers games as remasters for Switch. Now, later on, Eurogamer stepped in and clarified. They heard the same thing, but they clarified the games. Eurogamer then reported that they were told specifically that Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy would be getting remasters. They also added on that they were told by numerous sources that a new installment of Paper Mario would be coming out this year, as would a deluxe version of Super Mario 3D World.
With new stages, right, on that 3D World thing?
We'll get to speculation about what we think will be added in a sec, but maybe, Huber. it was then also reported that these new projects were set to be revealed. These are being included in event. The event was going to also reveal new details of Nintendo's partnership with Universal. The thing that includes the theme park, Super Nintendo World theme park, and the Super Mario movie that's still in the works. They said originally that, Video Games Chronicles said originally that the Mario Infinite 35th anniversary was going to take place at E3 in June. But that has since been canceled due to the global health crisis. And now they speculate that it's going to be a digital event a little bit later. But the Eurogamer approached Nintendo for comment. Nintendo says it doesn't comment on speculation and rumors. And that's where it seemed to end until later on, website Gematsu confirmed they also heard all this. They said they specifically heard Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy would receive remasters for Switch. So they heard that part of it. After that, VentureBeat jumped in and said that they had heard from their sources Nintendo is pursuing something like a Super Mario All-Stars 2 for 3D Mario games. This will include Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and then Galaxy and Galaxy 2. And it is likely that 3D World will get its own separate deluxe style release. While it's possible the older 3D Mario games could come in a single compilation, we're being told it's more likely Nintendo will release them individually as it did with the Zelda remasters. So they got their own sources to tell them this. And then at the end of all this, Huber, Jason Schreier of Kotaku retweeted the original VGC report and just said, added on, cannot wait to replace Super Mario Galaxy on my Switch. So we got all those reports there. That's Schreier, a lot of smoke.
Confirmed.
A lot of smoke. So
a lot of smoke. Too much smoke.
There's too much smoke for there to not be a fire.
Yeah.
So, but I want to say this real quick. We've had a bunch of outlets come forward before saying they all heard the same thing about a report, a rumor. That rumor was Star Fox Grand Prix. That has still not come to fruition. However, that was a crazy, insane crossover rumor thing that sounded too good to be true. This seems way more plausible and more likely. In fact, someone could have made this up and they could have been like, this is a safe thing you can make up and you'd be right about in general. So on a personal level, I feel way more confident about this. But I just want to remind everyone, it's not confirmed this is happening. This is still just reports about rumors. So we still need to wait. But I got some questions for the two of you, some fun questions here. First one's from Straw Hat Ninja. Also, Dancing Elk and Fangs asked pretty much the same question here. Greetings, allies. Assuming these are true, what are you hoping to get out of these remasters? Like, what do you want to see out of them? The remasters. So we're talking about the Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy remasters. So we're starting there.
Achievements.
I love it. You forget. This is what in the lost recording I said, man, achievements for these games would be really awesome. I'm with you, Huber. I absolutely think it'd be amazing if they put into game-wide achievements. I mean, they're not doing system-wide, but achievements would be perfect for this.
Here's a crazy thought. Wasn't the Super Mario 64 DS version multiplayer?
Yeah.
Am I misremembering
and multiple player characters and multiplayer, yeah.
That would be pretty fun to play multiplayer in Super Mario 64.
I think it is extremely likely if they're indeed adding stuff, they're going to add new things. Not only did the DS version add that stuff, the original Super Mario 64 was meant to have playable Mario and Luigi and playable co-op. In fact, the co-op thing was supposed to come out in the sequel. They were talking about Super Mario 64 2 that never materialized either. So it would be really cool to see either adding extra playable characters or some kind of co-op mode would be awesome.
I've got it. And then you can take it away, Blood. I've got one thing. If Super Mario, a legacy that is nearly unmatched in the entire industry, I would love if, whether this is bundled like an All-Stars 2, that would be the best case scenario. But I would like for there to be the original versions of the game with supplementary material. Give me behind the scenes.
Yes. Huber,
give me concept art.
Huber, you're a mind reader. We this literally also came up too. I was like, there was behind the scene thing about making the game and
like concept
but
art, like I
including the
love all
original
that.
games as well, dude.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
with the Iwata Ask stuff for Mario Galaxy, I think there's even they had a lot of little clips of things from development, that it wasn't even in the final game, just like prototypes and things like that. I don't know specifically if Galaxy or Galaxy 2 had them, but I want to say that I think there were some that did. So stuff like that would definitely be cool. And then, I just remember when they included a bit of those, like the original, like graph paper and stuff when Mario Maker came out, for Super Mario Brothers, those kinds of things.
Yeah, I
So
love
it'd be really
that
neat
stuff.
to see some of those things, see what's available. I'm sure that there's a lot of that they don't have video for, particularly as they kept a lot of that stuff under wraps. But it's always cool when you get to see some of that stuff for the first time.
So Huber, my gut feeling that I originally pitched for what I think is going to happen with these, I think Galaxy and Galaxy 2 are just going to get like a Twilight Princess HD treatment, which is like touched up a little bit, like up-resed, high resolution, because Galaxy 2 already exists on NVIDIA Shield in China, running at 720p. So they do have, like, the game is already in HD, and I just think it's something they're just gonna. It's not that as hard of a challenge for them to bring those games up to date. I think Sunshine was more likely to get something like the Wind Waker HD treatment, a little bit more love and care put into it to finesse it a bit. I don't know what they're doing with 64, Huber, and this is the one I'm the most terrified about. I'm really scared about them touching Super Mario 64. Even something simple like the camera controls get a lot of complaints. I'm so used to them, I'd be terrified of dual analog, like right analog stick doing it, and like it's like smooth, subtle movement. Maybe I'll love it, but I'm terrified. I'm really scared about that.
Yeah, just give me an unaltered version, like because it was ported to the Wii U eShop, right? And it kind of does a little texturing stuff there. I mean,
they just
makes
clean,
it a little sharper.
This looks clean, pretty much, but it's on Wii and Wii U for the eShop.
So just as long as they keep an unaltered version, I mean, you're dealing with one of the greats.
I guess, yeah. Like
an absolute classic.
You're right, Huber. Like the original is still going to exist, and I'd be a bit of a hypocrite, especially when I talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake, because I've championed that game trying to be so different from the original because we already have the original. It's like to go all out. So I guess, I mean, I would be lying if I said it does not scare me. But at the same time, I do think the correct thing is to be as ambitious as possible with that. One idea for 64 specifically, but I think it could be applied to all the other 3D Mario games, we got from a patron from Space Dom. They have a suggestion for an improvement you can make if we're going to go through these remasters. So they write, "Hi allies, I'm thrilled at the idea of bringing past 3D Marios to the Switch, but if I can make one request to whoever is tasked with making them, it would be this. Don't kick me back to the hub world every time I get a star. I understand the level layouts can change drastically depending on the objective, but after the smooth and streamlined feel of Odyssey, there should be something done to make these past games feel less sporadic. I would suggest giving me the option to roll straight into the next objective of a level, unless, there's a special circumstance like tick-tock clock, like where you enter on the clock affects the speed, something like that. But yeah, they're just like, that's one idea they gave, for a quality of life improvement. Just, Banjo-Kazooie, just don't kick you out.
It actually would be kind of cool if they found a way to make those level changes make sense, like if just like something happened in the world and like things fell down and you just kind of saw it happen, and then they showed you like, oh, okay, there's a star over here now. It would take a lot of work, a lot of conceptualizing to make that happen, but it could be cool.
For example, I lots of examples, but one that comes to mind immediately, Shifting Sandland, the pyramid level. If you stand on the 4 pillars around the pyramid, it causes the top to spin and explode, and you can go down the middle, which leads you to a little like basket elevator that goes down. And you can access that through other ways, but the point I'm trying to make is when you go all the way down and go down a chute, you land in a boss arena with the hand boss or down there, and you got to defeat him. When you beat him, there's no way back up in the current version of the game. You get the star, it kicks you out. So like that, they can make like a teleport or a new path, like a new stairs reveals itself that takes you back up to the higher, like the previous chamber. It's not the antechamber. I think there's a way to do it, Blood, absolutely, and I'd really like to see it. But as you said, it will take some work. But that actually gets me excited a little bit about.
Yeah.
I don't have to leave the level, do everything at once. That's kind of nice.
They added a new campaign to the original Doom not too long ago.
A new world, yeah.
A whole new world in Super Mario 64 in the year 2020.
Oh,
that seems magical.
Homer. Oh. It's like the noise. I would love that. Like even if it's Hubert, even if it's not like
one stage, even,
like a challenge, like a Champions Road type thing in 64. I like this. I really like this. But I mean,
it would be cool. I don't know if they have anything that was left on the cutting room floor, but it would be cool if there were levels that were like partly
lost
done.
Levels.
Exactly.
I mean, we're talking about 64 as well. Is there anything you could think of for Sunshine or Galaxy that you would want to see maybe change or anything like that?
Okay, Sunshine, I've got two things. Number one is that camera's got to be fixed. Like it was one thing that like I remember when people were complaining about it when it came out and feeling like, it's not really that big of a deal. You just have to learn how to control the analog stick while you're moving. But then when we replayed it at Easy Lemon, it's like, oh no, the camera gets really bad in tight corners. It just doesn't work right. But the other thing is, how you could like see the whole island, like you could see different areas in the background. It'd be really cool for that transition to be more seamless.
Yeah.
So it's not just like a JPEG sitting on the back of the the screen. It's like it's actually out there, and then it smoothly adjusts. Like if you take a cannon or something over there, like you actually see that other area, or say you get that the attachment to Flood that lets you like skirt on the waves. If you could actually go around to some of these other areas once they're unlocked. Maybe they could have ink or something that blocks you until then, but it would be really neat to be able to like zip around that whole island.
Yeah, and as far as Galaxy goes, Galaxy 1 and 2 are perfect, so no changes needed.
Yeah, please make that HD and figure out what to do with the pointer controls.
Yeah, that's to say the motion control stuff would just have to be figured out, pointing controls.
Yeah,
but
if it's on Shield, then they figured it out.
Yeah, like as I said, like it's not that hard. I was just running through the cutting room floors thing of Mario 64 stuff. There's like some unused animation stuff. There doesn't really be an unused level, just unused assets and stuff. So I mean, maybe one of these things being like an unused animation making its way, like a new move for Mario or something would be cool. But I do hope like it would be really fun to wrap up like what we want to see added. If they do add like the Luigi playable stuff, like it'd be cool if it was tied to getting all the coins, like the rumor, the
rideable Yoshi.
Actually taking Yoshi through. I mean, it would be nice. But anyway, I got another question about the pricing of all this from Cathal Fallon. Calvin Delaney also asked about the pricing. What do you expect the price for these re-releases ports to be? $30, $40, $60 for a set, or would be so lucky as to get some of Nintendo Online add-ons since they haven't released anything in a while. Twilight Princess HD was $49.99. The Wind Waker HD was full price, $60, $59.99. Just for comparison's sake.
Yeah, I would kind of expect something along the same lines for.
I could see 64 being like $40.
Yeah, 30 or 40 for 64, and the others.
Like 50, 60 for the 60. Others. Yep.
Unless they actually do a bundle. And if they do a bundle, I don't see them going over 60. But
what do you think about the release of these? Do you think they're going to be in a bundle? Do you think they're going to stagger these individually? What do you think is more likely? Raiden specifically asked about this, like their release order.
Whoever said All-Stars 2.
Yeah.
That's what I'm all about. That's the dream. I don't know if they would do that. There was too much money on the table by releasing these individually. Way too much.
Yeah, I mean, but you could like imagine like it All Stars 2, like we're in the previous version of this, we lost the mention of like Rare Replay, like how they do like the interface with that, switching between games. Like, they could go really nice with that packaging and interface and, you know, extra tidbits and stuff like that. But
one thing that I'll recommend
Yeah.
too, by the way, it came out like almost a year after Rare Replay did, but I actually recently read on Rare's website, they have this really long developer blog.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah.
It's super fascinating to read that stuff and talk about how, you know, they found partners for the N64 emulation and like all of the different decisions that they made along the way. You know, like, okay, let's use the Xbox 360 versions of the games that we've already done that for, but then, you know, having their own N64 emulator, all the process and choices that went into what games they selected for that collection. It's a really cool thing to read through, even though it will take you some time, but maybe you have a little extra time right now anyways.
Yeah, for sure. Huber, this wasn't asked in a question. We have one last patron question. Before we get to it, I need to ask you about this. We haven't talked about this rumored Super Mario 3D World Deluxe. You said earlier, you said extra stages. I need to know.
Yeah.
What do you expect and what do you want out of an enhanced Wii U port of this game?
Dude, let me play as Cat Bowser.
Cat Bowser, all right. Like post game, like you beat it, you get the pocket.
Yeah.
I
don't know how that would work, but that would be awesome.
What do you think about being able to play online multiplayer?
I would love online. You know, this would be a fun way to throw in and celebrate the cast of characters. Throw in extra characters to this one. Throw in your Daisies and your Waluigis and stuff. Like, really have fun with 3D World and just bring the whole cast along.
Love that. My pie in the sky thing, but maybe still pie in the sky. They add the either power-ups from Super Mario 3D Land, like the Tanuki ability. Add like some of that stuff in there. Or just add all the levels from that game in there. Just put them in, like when you beat the game, you unlock I know what you do. Like, I don't want to spoil stuff, but like, let's say like true end game, like you think you've 100% the game, now you unlock the 3D land levels. And they're fully redone in like 3D World style.
I would love that.
I don't know about that last part because 3D World is very specifically made to accommodate multiplayer. So I don't know if those levels
maybe some levels. I don't know if it would be all of them, but like some of what I just said, if they can make any part of that happen, would be kind of cool to me.
Yeah. Or just when you buy 3D World, you get the 3D Land remaster bundled with it or something. Yeah. If you go that way,
putting it on Switch. Yeah, I'll take that. I will absolutely just.
So it's like the 3D World bundle or something.
For sure.
Because then it kind of looks good. It looks like good optics maybe if they do start selling these individually. Because then at least with that one, you're like, oh, well, I'm getting 2 games here.
Yeah,
like selling them individually is pretty rough, but I do understand because like
Nintendo likes to protect its value and brand. They like doing this type of stuff.
Yeah,
but they have done
$60 for all of those. Like one bundle for $60 and all of them seems impossible.
Yeah. Our last question comes from Michelle Jackson, and this about the Paper Mario part of the rumor. So Michelle says, "I know everyone wants a Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door style sequel. But personally, I'm hoping for something more in the vein of Super Paper Mario. I absolutely adore Super Paper Mario and think the concept has a lot of untapped potential. What say you?" So basically, they'll expand it. What do you want to see in a Paper Mario sequel? And I'll preface this real quick by apologizing. Ben had a really good answer for this. I have a lot to say about this. And
I'm
you know
sorry,
how big of a fan Ben is. And, you know, Ben just really wanted to see a Thousand-Year Door style game. Didn't have to literally be a sequel, just a game that harkened back to that style, like that writing,
the color
that vibe.
Stuff.
Like they kind of like veered off course in the last few entries, and I think you just want to see something get back on track with where the series is much stronger in a stronger place.
Yeah, back to its roots.
But so I'm in agreement. Something in that style, even like OG Paper Mario is fine with me. My dream. I am always sad that we lost Super Mario RPG and that Nintendo was very clever and creative in working with Intelligent Systems to create an alternative with the Paper Mario series. I wish there was some way Square Enix would give their blessing and allow Nintendo to reappropriate Super Mario RPG, but they can like redo it, but in Paper Mario style, to bring it into like the series and like kind of like bringing in the last element that like is like oddball. It's a great game to me. It's a personal great, but it's not usually regarded in the same series as Paper Mario. Just like there's the handheld Mario games are not always regarded as the same as like the Paper Mario.
Well, Mario and Luigi again series, like the same kind of thing, but its own separate storyline and universe.
I just love Super Mario RPG so much, and I do think it would be fantastic as a Paper Mario style game as well. Like translate, like to update that game for a modern audience, I think it would work. But
do a new Paper Mario, test the waters, bring the brand back to its RPG roots, and then the next one tap into some of that Square Enix vibes.
They just need to get back on track. Like they just need to get back to what made Thousand Year Door so great, what made the original so great. And
the working relationship has got to be on point because of Super Smash Brothers and Cloud and the way that all worked out perfectly.
I think Nintendo just needs to just prioritize the project so that like it's the main focus of it. It needs a window because Intelligent Systems is very busy. They weren't even 100% on Fire Emblem Three Houses. They had to bring in extra help for that game as well. So having a fully ground up developed Intelligent Systems with like everyone all hands on deck, and also being told let's make it more in the style of the older ones like Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. And let's strive for that. Let's strive for something that people will see as like, remember when like Reggie introduced Odyssey? It's like, we've been waiting for a proper sequel to Super Mario 64. Like, introduce this new Paper Mario. I was like, you've been waiting for like a proper follow-up to Thousand Year Door. Like, that's what I need to hear. I need to hear those words, basically. And I'll feel really good about it. But not to discredit, other opinions and stuff like that. I do think there is untapped potential in the Super Paper Mario style. The toggling between perspectives. I just don't know if the whole dual thing has been done a lot, and I don't know if it could carry a whole RPG like that. I remember it not.
It wasn't really an RPG. That was
it was an RPG thing. It was like a platformer action.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
You can have those elements in like specific
like
dungeons
a world, like a world could be themed around it. Yeah. Sorry to cut you off there, Huber, but yeah.
Oh, you're good.
But. Yeah. I mean, it could be any style, honestly, as long as it gives me the feels of like Thousand Year Door, and we're good.
Yes,
for sure. Well, that is going to wrap it up for this episode of Friend Code. First of all, thank you to everyone who submitted questions for consideration. I'm sorry that we skipped over some of the Xenoblade ones.
And I'm sorry I'm hearing it's not Ben because I Xenoblade.
Dude, it was like I was like when I was doing the original, I was like, man, I want Huber here for the Mario stuff. I was like, I can't. I'm not doing 4 people, so it's like, you know what? It's a trade-off. Like sometimes I get someone like it's the availability, man, and like it works out. But we'll get Ben back on. We'll have Ben on for a great conversation and stuff about Xenoblade at some point in the future. Maybe when Huber's finished playing it, we'll all sit together and all 4 of us will talk about it.
I looked on How Long to Beat. It said completionist, 160 hours.
Okay, don't stop scaring yourself.
Completionist.
Look away from that, Huber.
That's goes a little beyond what you need. Yeah.
Yeah, that's no.
I think main plus extra was like 120 or something.
Okay. But thank you for everyone to submit your questions. I was basically trying to apologize for not. We originally answered some Xenoblade ones and we didn't this time. For those of you who want to submit questions for consideration for future episodes of Friend Code, you need to be a $5 and up patron. I will make a post on our Patreon page the week we're recording calling for those submissions. If you're also a $5 patron, that means you're part of the $5 early access tier, which lets you get episodes of this podcast and other shows and podcasts early. Early episodes of this usually go up on Wednesdays, so if you're watching this early, thank you for your Patreon support. For those of you who watch it publicly on YouTube when it comes later, thank you for just watching the show and supporting it in that way as well. It's always, however you support the show, I'm very happy with it. I'll take either one you can get. It's always warming to see people leave good comments and positivity about the show. We also have some shout outs for the month of April, and shout outs to Blue, Caleb Crawford, L. Thanis, Greg of the Dark Knight Kettering, and Jesse Blue. Shout out. Oh, shoot. Was he muted?
I was.
One more time. We got to do the ready. So thanks to our and Jesse Blue. Shout out. Thank you, though, for supporting Easy Allies like that. Thank you both for hanging with me to talk about Nintendo stuff, especially you, Bloodworth, for doing this a second time and making it not feel like we'd already talked about the stuff. Very good job with that. And thank you, Huber, for bringing the passion for Mario.
Anytime.
Good stuff. And until next time, everybody, may the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.